We are joined by the legend, Chris Sims. And Chris, before we jump in, I got to take us back to memory lane. 2 years ago, we had you on our show, days after Sean Payton was hired. And you famously said the first thing Sean's going to do is he's going to go out there and get a ton of big fuckers on the offensive line. And boy, I just need to give you a victory lap. Your opportunity to take that, because then the Broncos go out, they sign Garrett Bowles to a contract extension this year. They go out and sign Quinn Miners to a contract extension. They get Mike McGlinchey for big money, who's a big dude. And then they also go out and get Ben Powers.
Exactly right.
Here's your victory lap.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I do. Sean Payton's one of those guys that I feel like I know. Like whether I know him because I've been around him a bunch in life, but also just because I follow him, how great of a coach he is. I just feel like I know his tendencies. And then, of course, he's got the Parcells lineage too, and that's how that group thinks, right? Some groups might be, I want to get a fast receiver and start it that way. Like old school Giants, Patriots, that coaching tree, it's always about the big fuckers up front. and then when he's such a quarterback guy, and at that time, of course, he had Russell Wilson, there's no better way to make the quarterback feel comfortable than protected. And he knows he can design and get people open, so that'll be the next piece now. But, I'm pumped for what's going on in Denver, and I was a huge Bo Nix fan. I had him as the third quarterback last year in the draft coming out. I saw what he saw, and Denver's got it going.
So then I have to ask, what did you see that no one else saw? Because a lot of people not only thought he was a sixth quarterback, but thought he should have been a third-round pick.
Well, this is where people got to stop drafting offenses. This is where you have to decipher through shit a little bit. You can't just go, well, yeah, he throws a lot of screens, so I don't like him because he throws a lot of screens. They always throw screens. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. So that's not his fucking fault. And then you watch the tape and go, well, there's a 25-yard crossing route. Damn, it was 5 feet off the ground and right on the money. Here's a 20-yard out route. Yeah, that's it's only once every 15 throws, but you go, looks NFL to me. Shit, right on the money, outside the numbers. Pooh, well, only the receiver can catch it. So I saw enough of that there to go, what is everybody talking about? Why is everybody hating on this kid? And then the other aspect was the athleticism. Right? We know Jaden Daniels is the best runner in the draft. But I thought Bo Nix and Caleb Williams were the best scramblers, like could make people miss in the pocket, then to throw the football that way. They were incredible, and that's what I saw about him. And then, of course, knew he was smart and understood football and all that stuff. I called that at the Combine last year. I said, Bo Nix, Drew Brees Jr. Going to Denver, guaranteed it. That was another one I called, but you didn't get on me last year, so you missed it.
I think he's definitely a better athlete than people give him credit for.
Exactly, right?
And you talked about Sean and his tendencies, and I think he always wants to have athletes surround the quarterback. And he talked about having like a joker, whether it's Alvin Kamara, Jimmy Graham. He's looking for another player like that in Denver.
Right.
Is there anybody in free agency or the draft that you feel like could be his next joker?
I know. He definitely needs that type of guy. And, I'm not into draft mode yet, right? But, he's going to be on the lookout for his Alvin Kamara type of player. Because when he starts to get that and then a guy that can threaten you down the field, it becomes like, oh, crap. Because we know he can get people open 5 and 10 yards down the field with anybody.
For sure.
So then he finds these little ways to screens, option routes to the running back, as you know, out of the backfield. And then you start worrying about, well, damn, they're picking us apart with these short passes. And Bo Nix is getting out of his hands so quick. So then you start to creep up, and then he calls that, zoom, and it's boom, touchdown like Buffalo the first drive, right? So that's where he's really good that way. But, I know. I got to look at the free agent list as far as who's available. I'm not even sure if I know right now off the top of my head. But it's definitely a thing I would think he's going to address for sure.
Yeah, it seems like it's one of those things that's easier said than done, though.
Where
you say, like, you need to go find Alvin Kamara. Okay.
Yeah, to find Alvin Kamara is hard.
Yes.
Now, to find guys that can at least fill that role, right? Like McLaughlin can do some of that stuff, right?
Sure.
Now, is he a bell cow between the tackles? I don't know. Time will tell there. He runs hard as hell. I like his game. And maybe they think he can be that guy. Maybe he's just young and they haven't put that on his plate yet. But, yes, like, to that player is special. I was in John Gruden's offense, which really was about that too, right? And Sean was with John Gruden, where you would love a back that's got super talent, and we know that, but where Kamara, or in my case, I had like Michael Pittman, right, back in the day, and they got to be able to read coverages, and not all running backs are great at that, right? And that's what makes like guys like Kamara, McCaffrey so awesome, because you could put them at slot receiver and be like, hey, it's cover 2, you got to run it this way. Hey, it's quarters, you got to run it a little differently. It's still the same route, but there's a little difference in the route and how we want you to do it, and that's what can be hard about finding those guys, to your point.
Do you have Chiefs fatigue being around here this week, or do you want them knocked off?
I don't. Not that. I might pick the Eagles to win the game. I'm not saying that, but I don't have fatigue. Actually, this to me is the matchup. This is the battle of the Titans, and I'm being full transparency. When the playoffs started, like I do a little bracket. Like I'm like, why isn't a playoff bracket a thing in our America, right?
Yeah,
like why?
Absolutely.
And I always get the answer, it's because of the reseeding, and I'm like, whoa, are we that dumb in America? We can't go number 1 plays the lowest remaining seed left, and then so on, right? But so I'm always amazed by that. So I do it every year, and this year I picked Eagles-Ravens to be in the Super Bowl. I thought the Ravens were playing the best when we got in the playoffs. Yeah. But I don't have Chiefs fatigue. What they're doing is fucking unreal. It's unreal. He's the clutchest quarterback we've ever seen in our life. And I can't believe I'm saying that after Tom Brady, who was the clutchest quarterback I ever saw in my life. Yeah. But like this, after 7 years, is insane. The way they do it, I think, is cool. Right? The Patriots were like so like, well, we're systematical. We're on to Cincinnati. We're going to look under a rock in Germany for a player, and we might find him there. We're going to find a slot receiver, and we're going to do things you've never seen. They're kind of like, hey, we're just going to drop back. We're going to do crazy blitzes. Yeah. We're going to invent a play where we all do a pirouette, right? You know, hey, Taylor Swift, paparazzi, come on, cool, no problem. We don't give a crap. Jump on the bandwagon. That's where I think they're cool, right? That's where they're different. In the NFL world, as you guys know, most dynasties were uptight and like it was hard. The Steelers, like it didn't look like they had fun unless they won the Super Bowl. The Patriots, the 49ers, those teams, it was rooted in like, so they're a little different that way. And then what I also like in this matchup, sorry to just keep going, but the Eagles to me are like one of the best teams ever assembled in the free agency salary cap era. One of the best. The Eagles' O-line is as good as the 90s Cowboys. They run 3 fucking plays, and they run for 1,000 yards every game. 3. I'm telling you, they have 3 run plays. They have like 7 pass plays, and they just go, we're so good, screw you. You know what we're going to do, and we're still going to do it. So that's where this is a cool matchup, because I think it's the brains versus brawn. And not that neither one is too deficient in the other area, right? But it is the Eagles' brawn versus the Chiefs, who I don't think are as talented as the Eagles. But Andy Reid and Mahomes and Spags, that combination, they kind of close that talent level. That's why I think we'll have a nail-biter more than not.
How do they build that running game, though? Because, like, in Denver, we see it as, like, you got Garrett Bowles, Ben Powers, Quinn Miners, Mike McGlinchey, and you're ranking 16th or 20th in most of the rushing category. Like,
they're not these guys. They're not. These 2 tackles are the best 2 tackles in football. Their guard, the kid Landon Dickerson who got hurt, he's the best guard in football, right? Mekhi Becton is really damn good. And then the center, it's like, okay, he's not top 3, but he's top 7 in football, okay? And then we have a first ballot Hall of Famer running the ball, and a quarterback you have to worry about running the ball a little bit too, right? So that's what makes them different. But I'm telling you, if we sat down and watched film, I'd go, here's inside zone, here's outside zone, here's double pullers. Tell me when you see another run other than those 3 right there. And that's how good they are. And one of the things I think will be for this game is because the Chiefs are going to blitz them and try to take them out of that, like just getting smashed in the run game. Jalen Hurts audibling at the line of scrimmage. We saw it a little in the Washington game. The first play of the game to Saquon, right? His quarterback design run where he ran for a 9-yard touchdown. To me, that is one thing that's missed from the Eagles in the first Super Bowl. They got caught in some bad plays because the Chiefs took some crazy chances knowing that the Eagles are better than them. And they're going to do that again here. And they're going to need Jalen Hurts to get him out of jail a few times and go, oh, wait, this play ain't going to work. We're going to get to this one. The coaches told me about it all week, and now we're going to screw you over. Yep. And I think that'll be a big element of the game.
Chris, before we let you out of here, I got to ask you about the AFC West and the 4 spectacular coaches that they now have. For me, I feel like it's either going to be a gauntlet and you're going to be battle-tested and you're going to win the Super Bowl, come out the AFC West, or you'll be too beat up and not be able to make it happen? What do you think of the conference?
I know it's a great question. I went through this as a young child because the Giants in the NFC East, right? It was Washington who had went to 4 Super Bowls in 10 years. The Giants went to 2 and 5, right? The Eagles had, my dad would still tell you, the greatest defense he ever played against, and Reggie White and Jerome Brown and all that. And then Dallas was not like a throwaway. And then, of course, in the late 80s, early 90s, they started to become a powerhouse. But I always used to be like, man, fucking Joe Montana and the 49ers playing those cupcake NFC West teams, and my dad and them killing each other, be exhausted in the playoffs, right? And then there's the 49ers in the Super Bowl. But I still think it's going to breed toughness, battle-testedness, and it's going to be the coaches are too good to, like, your point. Right now, what's going to be unfortunate is, like, there's going to be years where you're going to be like, man, the 3rd or 4th team in the AFC West, like, if they got in the playoffs, they might have been able to win the Super Bowl, but they're not even going to get in the playoffs, right? That's where it's going to suck a little bit, but I think it's going to be phenomenal football, and somebody needs to try to dethrone these guys in red here at some point.
Yep. Chris, final one for you. We could talk to you for ages, but we really appreciate your time. Final
Anytime,
one.
Guys.
2 years ago, you called what Sean Payton was going to do. Last year, you said it was Bo Nix.
Right.
What is this year? Whether it's a player, whether it's, they win the Super Bowl next year, what's going to happen with the Broncos this year?
Well, you won the year, right? The year, I don't give a crap what happened in the playoff game or whatever. The fact that you did what you guys did with paying Russell Wilson $45 million still is incredible. It's incredible, right? So now you got a little money to play with, and I just look at it and go, like, hey, secondary, we don't got to worry about that, right? I mean, edge rushers, maybe another one you want to add, but damn, I'm a kind of a fan of both guys you got there, especially Nick Bonito. Is there a run-stopping D tackle maybe you want? Zach Allen's the man, but he's not the best against the run, right? I think O-line were good. I think when I kind of look at it, I just think it's big-time receivers coming. Big-time receivers coming. I'm not making Super Bowl predictions in the AFC West right now, all right? But I would think that the receiver is the thing that is the next piece of the puzzle and an off-season priority for the Denver Broncos.
Well, you know what? When it happens, we're going to be giving you all the credit in the world.
The Sean Payton whisperer told me that was going to happen.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate your time.
Anytime, guys. Be good.